a squadron of forward air controllers can do is the David and Goliath story of the air war in Southeast Asia. Flying slow, fragile airplanes armed with only marking rockets, smoke grenades, and a radio. They are the terror of communist land armies. If it were not for these forward air controllers, known as FACs, many branches of the Ho Chi Minh Trail might still be entirely hidden. Hidden and filled with communist soldiers, guns, and ammunition flowing into and through South Vietnam. The mission of the forward air controller is to provide visual reconnaissance of the enemy's movements and position. Find him wherever he is. In this case, on the Ho Chi Minh Trail. Pinpoint his position. Call in the fighters. Mark the target for them and guide them in. It is the forward air controller who makes sure the enemy convoys of troops, guns, and ammunition are destroyed. And see that his roadways in South Vietnam are kept impassable. It is a dangerous mission, so dangerous over the Ho Chi Minh Trail that they fly it in pairs, one forward air controller low and the other high.
Okay, that truck that they're talking about is about a half mile from the truck park, so we'll go for the truck park.
In case they are shot down and captured, they carry no personal papers except Geneva Convention cards and only official identification cards.
Okay, let's go get it.
They each wear a helmet, parachute, and bulletproof vest. They carry survival gear and a .38 caliber revolver, and as an extra precaution, an M16 rifle. The observation planes they fly are purposely light and slow. Slow enough for good observation, and light enough so the pilots can fly up and down, in and out of even small canyons. Their airborne command post flies high above them. The forward air controllers will call in their observations to this command post. If they want fighters to strike a target they've discovered, their request goes through this command post to the fighters, and the overall mission is controlled here. The forward air controllers are called upon to look for particular targets on every mission. For example, the enemy has to have maintenance garages, gas stations, and truck stops at fairly regular intervals along the trail. Is there a truck park hidden under those trees? If not, where is it? Somewhere along that river, there must be a cable crossing for the enemy's main communication. Where is it? Is that a river fording down there? Is there any traffic choked up on either side of it? Traffic that doesn't dare ford it in daylight. On which side of the ford is the water splash? It may indicate which way and how long ago trucks forded that river. To experienced eyes, newly traveled roads have a very special look. In the rainy season, they show deep truck ruts. In the dry season, passing trucks cover the roadside foliage with heavy layers of dust. And always, they look for places where truck ruts either turn off the road or suddenly disappear. Obviously, the enemy doesn't move his trucks in the daytime anymore. He moves at night and hides during the day. But he's down there somewhere. So the forward air controllers go down and look for him. This can be the most dangerous moment of all. That trail is guarded by dozens of anti-aircraft artillery sights and 50 caliber machine guns. And the little aircraft can draw small arms fire in 100 places along the trail. Put yourself in the enemy's position for a moment. What does the sight of these small aircraft mean to him?
You have 6 trucks loaded with weapons, ammunition, and 1 company of sawyers. Somehow you drove all through the night without lights and without being attacked by American night fighters. You've given your men strict orders to remain hidden and not move when the facts come over. They are like a pair of sparrowhawks looking for mice. You can knock one down with a good rifle shot, But if you do, the second Hawk that stays out of reach will mark your position with a rocket. And in minutes, his fighters will be there to pour down bombs, rockets, and shrapnel. Your best hope for survival is to hide under the trees, but hiding from the Hawks is not easy. A glint of light, one man waking up startled, or a shadow growing with the sun. And the Sparrowhawks come spiraling down for a closer look, trying to find our position. He's coming towards us by the riverbank. He's looking for us under the trees. Don't move. Don't anybody move. What's he looking at? He's seen us. Now our only hope for survival is to kill him. Hide somewhere else. Get moving. Run. Fight. He's going to mark us. He's marked us. He's calling the fighters.
And of course, the enemy is right. The forward air controllers are calling in the fighters, marking the target for them, and guiding them by radio right to the target.
581, can you see Cricket 89 yet?
Negative. We're on a heading of 105 degrees, about 7 minutes from target area.
Okay, in the target area, take up an attack heading of 300 degrees.
300 degrees. Got it. Cricket, we can see your smoke now.
Okay, 581, they're 50 yards east of my marker. Go to it.
When the destruction of the enemy convoy is completed, and when that part of the highway has again been made impassable, the forward air controllers go back to their home base. They are replaced immediately by another flight of fact. Running the patrol of the Ho Chi Minh Trail must go on from dawn to dark. Each mission is only 2 or 3 hours long, but the strain on pilots and aircraft makes it one of the hardest air missions of the war. The value of this small aircraft and their sharp-eyed pilots cannot be overestimated. For particular target selection, for the guidance of close air support, and for the interdiction of the enemy's supply lines, the Sparrowhawks are the eyes of our powerful Air Force strike team.
Some have pointed with justifiable pride and called him the new breed of fighting man. But if breeding is to be consistent, if it's to mean anything, then this is the same man that went ashore at Iwo Jima, Guadalcanal, Incheon, and only yesterday at the Batongan Peninsula in South Vietnam. History has dictated few changes in the life of the United States Marine. His primary mission is still the winning of the battle. The battle is the culmination of months and years of preparation. Suddenly, all of those seemingly small, isolated moments of rigorous training are funneled into a few days, a few hours, when mobility, firepower, and leadership must take on a definitive pattern within the framework of a calculated risk. A pattern that not only acknowledges the strengths and weaknesses of the enemy, but also the time and the place where he can be defeated. time, 0630, September the 7th, 1965. Mission, Operation Piranha, a 4-day search and destroy action by combined United States and Vietnamese military forces against a suspected stronghold of 2,000 Viet Cong guerrillas on the twin peninsulas of Batongan and An Khe, 20 miles south of Chulai. For the men of the 1st Battalion, 7th Regiment, this was the sort of operation for which all Marines are qualified. Born of time, necessity, and circumstance, and nurtured to near perfection under fire during the Pacific Campaign of World War II, the amphibious assault has become the trademark of the Navy Marine Corps team, a symbol of their role in America's combat readiness. But even before the 1st Battalion had begun to assemble at its debarking stations at sea, the men of the 3rd Battalion, 7th, were forming up into copter-apportioned sticks for loading at a hastily constructed helipad near the outskirts of Chulai. This was the vertical envelopment doctrine in operation. Utilizing 3 centrally controlled helicopter squadrons, the men of the 3rd Battalion were airlifted to Landing Zone Oak, a strip of elevated ground running across the twin throats of Batongan and An Khe. From here, they would act as a blocking force to the retreating Viet Cong as the 1st Battalion began its push from the beach. With the completed landing of the first wave of Marines, 16 of the choppers broke away from Landing Zone Oak and sped 10 miles south to the Republic of Vietnam stronghold at Quang Ngai. There they began the helilift of 2 Vietnamese battalions to Landing Zones Pine and Birch, located on the far side of the Song Chao Mae Dong River. By 0945, the vertical envelopment was completed, and the stranglehold across the windpipes of Batongan and An Khe stretched for a full 8 miles. By late morning, advanced Marine patrols had already moved in from the beach to their first objectives, and others formed up, ready to follow. On the outskirts of villages like Chao Mae Wan, civilians were quickly gathered together for safe transportation behind the Marine lines. And as they moved off, the Marines stopped small groups and asked the same question over and over again. Where are the Viet Cong? The answer that came back was always the same. They're gone. They left before you came. The expected Viet Cong resistance at the beaches had never materialized. And now, even further inland, only scattered sniper fire broke the calm. This was the penalty that the Marines had to pay for their own efficiency. The very strength of United States firepower that had won so many victories in the past had driven the Viet Cong to cover or full retreat. The possibility of any single big contact was going to be harder and harder to come by. As night fell on their first day ashore, the Marines dug in and waited. Finally, the word came back. Only 4 Viet Cong killed, 6 captured, 48 suspects being held. It was evident that an old familiar pattern of battle was taking shape. The Marines had seen it before at places like Iwo Jima, Saipan, and Guadalcanal. 3 of the 4 Viet Cong killed on the previous day had been flushed from a cave. This could mean only one thing. The Viet Cong were there all right, but they'd have to be dug and blasted out. One key to the search and destroy operation was the jet hot pad at Chulai. Standing on strip alert, Marine attack jets were only minutes away from a platoon leader's radioed call for an airstrike, with almost any lethal combination of weapons he might want or need, from 20-millimeter aircraft cannon and high-velocity rockets or bombs to bullpup missiles. For the first time in Marine Corps history, control of the air support elements was handled by Marines circling above the battlefield at 18,000 feet. In the past, the DASC, or Direct Air Support Center, during such operations, has been located on a communications ship lying offshore. This time, a KC Hercules was outfitted to do the job. Its crews monitored requests from ground forces and assigned aircraft to requested strike areas. But if the innovations of the jet airstrike and DASC were important to the success of the Piranha campaign, the backbone of the attack was still the man on the ground, the man with the singular philosophy embodied in the words leadership and discipline. Combat is a test of courage and endurance, a forced inbreeding that teaches the individual to respond to a command under any conditions. It's a disciplined struggle for life, hinging upon the absolute control of those who command and the unswerving loyalty of those who follow. By the end of the second day, the Marines had confirmed 70 Viet Cong killed, 4 captured. By the end of the third day, the Viet Cong resistance was broken. One by one, the caves were opened up and the enemy rotted out. When the smoke had cleared over one hole, the Marines discovered, to their amazement, a limestone cavern over 6 feet high and 250 feet long. It yielded up the bodies of 66 dead Viet Cong. Up to that time, it was the largest single kill made by the Marines since their arrival in Vietnam. By September the 10th, it was all over. Batangan and An Khe were secure. 4-day total, 198 Viet Cong killed, 38 enemy captured, 265 VC suspects detained. The cost, 1 Marine dead, 8 wounded. While several elements of the Marine assault team were being withdrawn to another battle area west of Da Nang, others remained behind. For while the Marines had completed their primary mission, had won the battle, there was still a further American responsibility. The villagers needed food, medical supplies, and continuing protection. They needed assurance that they were realizing the beginnings of justice. For without justice, security and self-dependency would never arrive. All Americans in Vietnam, both military and civilian, know there's more than a fighting mission for them in their support of the embattled Republic of Vietnam. They have heard and understand the words of President Johnson, who said, "A nation cannot be built by armed power or by political agreement. It will rest on the expectation by individual men and women that their future will be better than their past." When the final battle is won in Vietnam.
This is an American fighter bomber attacking a communist installation in Vietnam. Its firepower is accurate. Flying field carved in 26 days out of an obscure beach in South Vietnam. In length, it's the size of 3 flat tops laid end to end. Even unfinished, it's fully operational. This field was built primarily for Marine support aircraft. Each piece is portable. The control tower can be picked up and moved by a helicopter. The arresting gear was hauled from the beach by a tractor trailer. Comes in a truck in sections. It can support the heaviest transport plane. An instant airfield built to accommodate more traffic than most stateside airports. But a month ago, there was no Chulai. Just sand, heat, more sand. And Marine determination to build an airfield. It all started here on this unnamed beach on the China Sea. For these Marines, it's just another landing, 10,000 miles from home. To them, this was nothing new, nothing different. They've been doing it opposed and unopposed for almost 200 years. This mission, seize and defend enough real estate to build an airfield. It sounds simple. It is, for professionals. The helicopter hasn't changed the idea behind the amphibious assault. It's just added a new dimension. Marines arrive in helicopters from Navy carriers at sea, sealing the approaches to the beachhead. The object? Find the Viet Cong, engage him, destroy him, or drive him off. But at Chulai, he couldn't be found. The guerrilla chose not to fight. Seabees move in right behind the Marines. They find their enemy, sand. Sand so deep, even powerful earth movers bog down. Under the sand, the ground is flat, but the Seabees want it flatter. For the matting, it comes in sections. Interlocking aluminum planks that weigh 144 pounds and can stand the impact of a fully loaded giant cargo plane. This is hot, hard work. The sand is always there. The Seabees curse it, fight it, but still, it has to be moved. The entire area around the airfield has to be searched and patrolled. The Marines give themselves little rest. The Viet Cong can be allowed no sanctuary. For 2 years, this was his sanctuary. The Marines have to find it, root him out. The villagers help. They fear the Viet Cong reprisals, but they do help by pointing out the Cong hiding places. The Marines find traces of the enemy, medical stores, communist propaganda, caches of food, and the guerrilla himself, a tough, trained enemy, innocent looking, but deadly. Marines patrol deep into the brush searching for guerrillas. It's a hot, dirty, frustrating job. Frequent breaks are necessary. Water is a precious item. You can drink it or cool off with it. Each man carries his pantry on his back. And sometimes his meal is interrupted. The Marines pursue the enemy. He's elusive. This is his territory, and he knows it well. Well enough to hit, run, and then vanish. While the Marines hunt the Viet Cong, the airfield is growing. The Marines even give it a name. They call it Chulai. Sand hills vanish, and depressions are filled. Each interlocking panel is designed to fit perfectly into place. Almost. Hour by hour, the strip takes shape. It is now almost 3,500 feet long. In the days to follow, the Seabees will more than double its length. But a combat airfield needs more than a runway. It needs a mirror landing system and arresting gear, like that used on aircraft carriers. It needs refueling points, revetments to protect airplanes, a tank farm for fuel, complete to the last detail. Everything necessary is now in place, ready, waiting. The control tower is in radio contact with the incoming flight and has cleared it to land. Chulai's newest arrival, a fast, sleek Skyhawk, comes streaming in for a landing. These jets are only the first combat Marine attack squadrons to be based at this field. Hours from now, these same jets will be launched for their first strike mission in support of ground forces. The airfield at Chulai is now alive. The Skyhawks have a home. It is now the ground crew's turn to take over. Their job is to refuel, arm, and get these Marine jets into the air war as soon as possible. Chulai is operating like a well-oiled machine. It hardly seems possible that this busy, portable combat airbase was landed, uncrated, and operating in just a matter of weeks. And, if necessary, it could be moved again to any trouble spot in the world. This combat airfield is hungry. Its enormous appetite consumes tons of supplies each day. Necessary supplies to sustain thousands of men and their machines. Many items must be delivered daily to keep Chulai operational. Fuel for jets. High-velocity air-to-ground rockets. 20-millimeter shells for aircraft cannon. And food, usually sea rations. Water, and lots of it. And most important of all, fresh replacements. For the first time in weeks, there is an opportunity to relax. A chance to really wash off the sand and dirt. And letters to write home as often as possible. Young Americans look forward to receiving a package of anything. They convert their pay to money orders and send it home for another time, another place. Young Marines soon learn the value of seemingly trivial things. Clean socks, a haircut, clean teeth, and a shave. Around the perimeter, the patrols into the hills or deep into the hot jungles continue. Some dig in and wait, watchful, ready. At Chulai, they must endure the tropic heat and the discomfort of foxholes scratched in the sand. They call themselves pick and shovel architects, and the term fits. These men are all willing to face hardships and danger anywhere their country or corps sends them. As Americans, they are defending their right to live and believe as they choose. And they're pledged to defend the same right for others. Pledged to make good an American promise to the people of South Vietnam. A part of this promise stands here on the sands of Chulai, the result of American determination to build an airfield, sand and steel.
December 1967. The campaign of North Vietnamese General Giap is going badly. The Americans are applying the pressure on a dozen battlefields. His troops are taking mounting casualties and suffering from a loss of morale. He desperately needs a major victory. But the target he selects hands him one of the costliest defeats of the war and gives the Allies spectacular confirmation that a ground battle can be won by air power. Khe Sanh, an Allied base manned by U.S. Marines and 1 battalion of South Vietnamese Rangers. Cornerstone of the defense line where the demilitarized zone and the Laotian border meet. The mountains surrounding Khe Sanh overlook the Ho Chi Minh Trail. To Giap and to some Western observers, Khe Sanh's similarity to Dien Bien Phu make it a lucrative target, one that might bring a victory as decisive as the one that forced the French withdrawal a decade before. Into the area, Giap moves 2 full divisions, more than 20,000 men, and positions them to surround the 6,000 defenders. A 3rd division is moved toward the Marine base at Camp Carroll. As the battle lines are drawn and the Marines repulse probes against their tightened perimeter, General William Westmoreland gives his Deputy Commander for Air, General William Momeyer, operational control of all air elements in the defense of Khe Sanh. On January 19th, the largest and best coordinated air campaign of the war is launched against the enemy. With land routes blocked, every ounce of food, every round of ammunition must be flown in to the besieged Marines across an air bridge that is always busy, always dangerous. Enemy gunners score a hit on an A-4 flown by Marine Major Bill Loftus. But Loftus is quickly recovered by Marine choppers and returned to Khe Sanh. The big cargo aircraft become known as mortar magnets. But in spite of the mortars, in spite of enemy anti-aircraft fire, in spite of bad weather, the air bridge is never cut. In the first month of the siege, Air Force C-130 and C-123 aircraft deliver nearly 11,000 tons of supplies and move more than 3,000 troops, refugees, and wounded in and out of the base. Their daily load averages as much as an 80-truck convoy. A handful of Air Force aerial port personnel under constant enemy fire load and offload as many as 30 aircraft in a day. As the supply by air continues, the Air Force coordinates intelligence from all sources to pinpoint the enemy positions. Air Force reconnaissance crews are able to penetrate the jungle canopy and zero in on enemy targets with highly sophisticated electronic and photographic devices that detect the enemy's slightest move. They often locate more than 300 targets a day. Jot's plan calls for a quick victory. He steps up the intensity of his assault, scores a hit on the Marine ammunition dump. On 23 February, 1,300 rounds slam into Khe Sanh. Casualties among the defenders mount. The Marines burrow deeper and call for suppressive fire from fighter aircraft. On the airstrip, the airlift planes meet increasing enemy fire. Intensifying barrage forces the planes to deliver the goods by parachute. The communists are steadily increasing their attack. The specter of Dien Bien Phu is revived in American headlines. But what the French lacked, the Americans have in overwhelming strength, the decisive element of air power. Coordinating around-the-clock strikes, airborne battlefield command and control centers in modified C-130 aircraft orbit Khe Sanh, enabling the airborne commander on the scene to talk with the Marines on the ground, the fighter aircraft pilots, and 7th Air Force headquarters in Saigon. Armed with the latest target information, The AB-CCCs direct the forward air controllers, who in turn direct the fighter bombers to enemy positions within yards of the Marines' perimeter. The B-52s, with their sophisticated radars, are able to strike in any weather. Each carrying more than 30 tons of bombs, blast enemy bunkers and supply dumps, devastating the surrounding landscape. At night, unseen and unheard, until their payloads hit, they strike terror into the hearts of the communist troops. The air effort is massive. In February and March, General Momeyer directs more than 21,000 sorties in defense of Khe Sanh. Of these, 2,500 are flown by the B-52s. During the same time period, Marine artillerymen at Khe Sanh and Army gunners firing from bases many miles away lobbed thousands of shells at the enemy. In March, about the time of the 14th anniversary of his victory at the Bien Phu, Giap orders the withdrawal of the first of two divisions which are then in the process of being destroyed. At the same time, the monsoon lifts, clearing the skies for a growing stream of airlift and medevac aircraft. Tactical fighters continue their precise attacks, complementing the heavy bombardment of the B-52s, increasing the pace of the enemy withdrawal. The Marines